Hey builders, before we jump into today's show, I need to know something. Are you and I connected on the socials? Because if we're not, we need to be. So connect with me. I'm on Facebook at Robyn Jackson. I am on Twitter at Robyn_MindSteps. I'm on LinkedIn at Robyn Jackson. Let's connect and let's keep the conversation going. Now, on to the show. You're listening to the School Leadership Reimagined podcast, episode 233. How do builders like us make a dramatic difference in the lives of our students in spite of all the obstacles we face? How do you keep your vision for your school from being held hostage by resistant teachers, uncooperative parents, ridiculous district policies, or lack of time, money, or resources? If you're facing those challenges right now, here's where you'll find the answers, strategies, and actionable tips you need to overcome any obstacle you face. You don't have to wait to make a difference in the lives of the people you serve. You can turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Let's get started. Hey builders, welcome to another episode of the School Leadership Reimagined podcast. I'm your host, Robyn Jackson, and today I want to answer a question that many people who are starting on their buildership journey are asking. You know, buildership is a vast amount of information and skills, and people always wonder, where do I start? What should I be working on first? People go to our free events and they see different things and are like, oh, I want to do that, or I want to do this, or I want to do this. And then when they get inside of Buildership University, we get them focused on one thing and they're like, but I want to do this other thing. And we say, no, you got to do this first. And so I thought I would do an episode where I could just make it clear about what needs to come first. If you're going to become a builder, what are the skills you need to build first? And so a lot of what we're going to talk about today really follows the Buildership model. So those of you in BU, we've walked through the Buildership model, and I just want to kind of go through it again to understand why we set up BU the way that we do and why we design your journey through BU to mirror that Buildership model so that you are building the right skills at the right time, and explain a little bit about why these skills first versus those skills. So the first thing that you need to do if you're going to become a builder is you've got to get clear about your purpose. And this is where you develop your 100% vision. This is where you facilitate the development of the mission in your school. This is where you create the core values with your staff. But this is also where you begin to look at how you can start aligning the work you do to your vision, mission, and core values. So it's not just enough to create those things, although those things are really important. It's how well do you get your school aligned to those things. Now, the reason we start with that first, and the reason why that is probably the most critical work you do, is twofold. The first is kind of the external benefits that you get. You take a staff that may not be cohesive and you start bringing them together. You get really clear about the work that you're doing and how you're going to move your school forward. You have a direction, the Bible verse, without a vision, the people perish. And so it's really important to have that vision, to get everybody kind of pointing in the same direction, to make your work aligned. So your work gets easier, gets more focused. You tap into your energy and your motivation again. It gets your staff more motivated than anything else you can possibly do and more aligned to the work. And it helps you to realize the work that you're doing that's not in alignment with where you want to go. So you can stop doing that and create more room for the work you really want to do. Those are the external benefits. But the internal benefits are even greater, because going through that process, facilitating that process with your staff, reconnects you to your why, helps you to start thinking like a builder, helps you to unlearn a lot of the garbage that we've been taught as leaders about what it really takes to move the school forward. It gets you reconnected to your purpose, why you're there. It gets you reconnected to what it is you really want to do for your students. Writing a vision is hard. It's not hard in the same way that those, gruesome vision writing exercises are hard. Writing a vision is hard because you have to really identify what difference you really want to make for kids. We always talk about, I want to make a difference. I want to make a difference. What difference? And we've never been challenged to really clarify what difference we have been put on this earth to make. And so when you start with your vision, when you complete that purpose arc inside of Buildership University, you come out of that with that kind of clarity. Your staff comes out of it with that kind of clarity. And you now have a vision that is unset asideable. And so it gives you focus. It helps you endure the tough times. It helps you advocate for what's really important in your school. So that's why we start with purpose, because if you don't do that, anything that happens is going to knock you off your square. Anything that happens is going to be discouraging. Anything that happens is going to make you reevaluate everything because you don't have anything to anchor in. And so that purpose piece has external benefits, but the biggest benefits that come from that purpose piece are who you become after you go through that process. You become a person who is clear about where you're headed, whose work is in alignment, so you don't feel like, oh, I'm doing all this stuff, but I don't feel fulfilled. You begin to feel more fulfilled because the work you do is in complete alignment with the difference you're trying to make. And that's what propels you forward. And that's what makes people want to join you on that journey. And so you have to do that first. Once you do that, once you've got the clarity of purpose, the next big problem that you're going to encounter is how do you keep everybody on your staff focused on that purpose and growing into that purpose? Because the reality is, once you set that 100% vision, that mission, those core values, at the beginning, they're very aspirational because you're not there yet. And in many ways, you and your staff don't have the skill and in some cases the will to get there. Because if you did, you'd be there already, right? So the fact that you don't have that already and your staff doesn't have that already means that you have work to do to help your staff grow into your purpose. And so the next piece is the people piece. And during this part of the process, it's really about growing the will and skill of your staff. And as a bare minimum, you want your teachers, every teacher in your building, growing at least one level and one critical domain in every single year. That's how you get to your vision. So again, the process is twofold. Externally, you're putting systems in place to make teacher growth inevitable, to make it the obvious fact. Every teacher in your building is growing one level and one critical domain every single school year. And so you're putting your feedback system in place so that teachers are getting the feedback they need and the right feedback so that they can grow. And then you're putting your support systems in place so that you follow up on your feedback and you actually see results. You see teachers making tangible growth, and it helps you to follow up and give teachers the targeted support they need without running yourself ragged. And then you're going to put your accountability architecture in place. So that's really about looking at the systems in your school so that you're setting people up for success so that they can be accountable to continue to grow and there aren't roadblocks in the way that are institutional roadblocks. And so that accountability architecture is one of your secret tools to make sure that everybody's growing and everybody's staying accountable to growth without you running around chasing, checking, and correcting people all the time. People become accountable for their own work. They take ownership over their own work when you do it right. And then you have a culture architecture that you're creating. And that culture architecture is really about creating new institutional habits and changing your institutional story so that you have this healthy culture where your teachers are thriving and they are taking more and more ownership over their work and they are all committed to that purpose and doing work that's in alignment with that purpose, even when you're not checking. So that's why in Buildership University, the next level 2, is really about creating those 4 architectures or systems. That's the external benefit. So what happens is your school runs more smoothly. Teachers are getting the support they need. You're seeing that consistent growth. But here's the internal benefit that it has for you as a builder. And this is why this is so important. You could have a great vision, but if you can't get people continually moving towards that vision, then what's the point? So the next step for you in your growth as a builder is first you set that vision, mission, core values, you get into alignment with that. But then you have to get other people to be in alignment with that, other people to grow and continually embrace and deepen in their commitment to that vision, to build the will and the skill to live out that vision, that mission, those core values every single day. And so as you go through that process and build those architectures, you get better at moving people. And the biggest difference that this makes is that, we were trained as a leader to say, you go or let's go. But when you become a builder, you're not sitting in some place and directing people. You're not dragging people to the goal. You are inviting people. And so that people component, the next step, that skill that you are building, is really about getting good at getting other people to join you in pursuit of that vision, to take ownership of that vision, and to continually move forward towards that vision, even when you're not pulling or pushing or checking. So once you do that, once you've developed that purpose, and once you've gotten people on board, the third skill that you need to develop to become a builder is you need to get good at charting the course, figuring out the pathway. And this one is an overlooked skill. People think, well, I've got my vision and I've got everybody on board, so I'm good. No, you've only done half of what it takes to become a builder. The next thing that builders get really good at is looking through all the noise and finding the one thing that matters most. Now, you all know that we have a process called microslicing inside of Buildership University that we teach you. And we teach it on two levels. How do you microslice when you're looking at supporting teachers? And then how do you microslice when you're looking at the entire school and what students need and what it's going to take at this moment to move forward in your vision? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They don't spend enough time. They think, oh, well, I've got the first two down. I'm good. And then they just randomly grab stuff to work on and they get good at it. So they go to a conference, they hear somebody talking about standards aligned instruction, or they hear somebody talking about trauma informed instruction or culturally proficient cultural proficiency, or whatever the buzzword is, PBIS, level 1, tier 1, tier 2, all of the buzzwords in education. And they're like, you know what, that's it, because we have that problem. So that must be the solution. And they grab the solution and then they run with it. That's a leadership paradigm. And then what happens is you spend a lot of time working on that solution, only to realize that solution solved a symptom, but didn't solve the root problem. Then you realize it's not working as well as it could be working, and you abandon it, and then you go do the next thing, and then the next thing, and then the next thing. And so you're always ricocheting between one solution and the next solution, and working really hard at it, getting people excited about it, getting people moving forward, but not seeing the results that you want to see because, again, you're solving the wrong problem. So what builders get really good at is understanding what is the right problem to solve. And it's rarely what you think it is. So builders spend a lot of time asking questions. When we look at data, we're not looking at what is the data telling me. We are interrogating the data and we're asking the data, is this a symptom or is this a root cause? Is this the one thing I need to be working on right now? And so you're going to be learning in Buildership University microslicing and how to do that at an institutional level and how to do that on a regular basis to figure out what problems should you be solving right now. That's one of the number one questions a builder is asking always. What is the problem that is the root cause? We call it affectionately our 150. What's our 150? And so once you figure out and get good at finding your 150, you go farther faster because you're spending your time and energy solving the right problems. So let's go back to the order again. The first thing is you need a purpose, because if you don't have a purpose, what are you doing? Once you have that purpose and you've gotten in alignment with that purpose, you're looking around and you're figuring out where can I be in alignment with that purpose? The next step is you've got to get your people on board. How do you consistently get people moving closer and closer to that purpose? Once you've gotten that straight, the next thing is, okay, where should we be moving? What's the pathway look like? And it's really about finding the right problems to solve and not wasting time solving problems that really aren't root causes. And once you do that, then you begin to operate differently as an organization. You are more efficient. You see bigger gains faster. We regularly now see in Buildership University in our wins column, we see people regularly posting 10%, 15%, 20%, 50% gains. And they look remarkable. To all the leaders out there, those gains look remarkable. And so people are getting lauded in their districts. How did you do that? That's amazing, especially when some schools are dropping, some schools are working really hard and eking out 1, 2, 3, 5% gains. People are saying, how is that happening? That's extraordinary. And they think it's magic. It's not magic. It's really comes down to finding the right problems to solve. That's how you get huge gains. It's not about, bubble kids or all the other nonsense we've been taught. It's simply about finding the right problems to solve. And builders do that. That's one of the secret weapons of being a builder is you get good at that. And so externally, you're getting the gains, but internally, you have this clarity and confidence because you know that you are solving the right problems, that if you're going to work, you're going to see results because you're solving the right problems. So once you do that, the last skill that you need is you need to get good at executing on your plans. Hey, Robyn here, and I just want to break in real quick to ask you a huge favor. You see, I want to get the word out to everybody about Buildership, and I could use your help. If you're really enjoying this episode, would you mind just going to your podcast platform and leaving a quick review? You see, the reviews get the word out. They tell other people this is a great show. Other people who have never heard of School Leadership Reimagined before can hear about it. And you'd be sharing the word about Buildership. So would you mind just leaving a quick review? It would mean the world to me. Okay, now back to the show. We're really good at making plans. We're terrible about executing on it. Me too. I write plans all the time and then, look back and like, did I do what I say? But when you execute, that's when you see the results. So a lot of times we say, okay, this is the right problem to solve, and we develop a plan to solve the problem. Then we get distracted and stuff happens and we get knocked off of our plan. And so what builders get really good at is staying the course, even when life gets in the way. And the reason that builders are good at that is because we understand that getting from A to B is not a straight line. There are things that happen along the way. Life is going to life. So we know that and we plan for that. And we put systems in place to help us stick with our plans even when life gets in the way. Because we know what's going to happen. I think it's bizarre that every summer we sit down and we write SIT plans as if stuff is not going to happen. We just went through October. I always talk about the October surprise. Guess what else is coming? Winter break. Guess what else is coming? Testing. Guess what else is coming? That long stretch between, the testing and spring break. Guess what else is coming? Graduation. So we always have distractions. They're the same ones every single year. Why aren't we planning for that? Why aren't we, as we're sitting around and thinking about our plans, understanding that and being strategic? So what builders are really good at, and this is the next skill you need, is how do I keep everyone moving forward even when life gets in the way? And so we talk about the 6 E's of execution and how it's really, really important to make sure that as you're building plans, you are also anticipating the rockiness of change and making sure that you're planning for that. And so we help you create a planning architecture that helps you to create better plans and execute on your plans. And then the other thing we do is that at some point, you've got to share the wealth. You can't be the only one who's in charge of execution. You have to build other builders. And so that's why after you get really good at setting a purpose and getting people on board and identifying the pathway, so finding the right problem to solve, and then executing on your plans, the next step for that execution is that you have to help other people take over parts of the process, so you're not the only one driving. Other people are building as well. So we show you how to offload some of the work that you're doing to the right person. We show you how to build a winning team. We show you how to onboard people into their roles. We show you how to define what roles you need in your building. So you make sure that stuff gets covered and the work gets done, even if you're not the only one driving. And all along the way, it frees you up to do the things that only you can do. And that's what makes you a better builder. And so just to kind of recap the order of skills you need, so that if you're going to become a builder, you don't try to jump to microslicing because microslicing is sexy, but you don't have a clear vision, mission, and core values, and you're out of alignment. You don't try to jump to the people portion because you're struggling with, some personalities in your building right now, but you don't have a clear alignment in your school to your vision, mission, and core values. You don't start writing plans to solve problems that you haven't truly understood. So this is the order. First, make sure that you have a clarity of purpose, which means you have a 100% vision, a mission, core values, and what we call an alignment architecture and one plan. So that's level 1 of BU. And those things help you to have something to anchor in. You have the vision, mission, and core values. You do things to make sure that your school is in alignment with your vision, mission, and core values. And if you have a tool in place to help you do that. And then the one plan says, this is the most important work that we need to be doing right now to achieve our vision. With that kind of clarity, the next step is that now you want to build your people. You want to build the will and skill of your people so that they can begin to pursue that vision with you. And so you want to get feedback architecture first, support architecture next, accountability architecture, and culture architecture. And the reason why we do it in that order, first, you got to give people feedback so they know where they need to grow. Then you give them the support to help them grow there. Then you give accountability because now that they have learned a new skill, they need to practice it consistently so that they can see that growth. And then finally, you build the culture in place so that people get used to growing. People get used to getting the feedback and the support and being accountable. And it becomes just the way we do things in our school. It becomes our institutional habit. Everybody in your school is accustomed to growing. Okay. Then, after you've gotten the purpose and the people straight, the next step is now let's get good at identifying the right problems to solve. And that's where the pathway comes in. And then once we know what are the right problems to solve, let's get good at solving them. So that's where you are putting in the plan and the 6 C's of execution and building other builders so that you become an efficient organization. So when you build the skills and you build them in the right order, you get wins all along the way. Like once you've completed your purpose, here's the big win you get. Not only do you have the clarity, so you know where you're going and your team has clarity and motivation and you create momentum and you start trimming the fat on the stuff that's out of alignment and you get rid of that so that your work becomes more authentic. You become more inspired. You think differently. You see your problems differently. You see your students differently. So your school feels different and you feel different. Once you complete the people component, you've got your teachers consistently growing. So you see tangible growth in your teachers every single year. But more importantly, you feel differently because you now know how to get people moving. So when teachers complain and push back and confront you, you don't worry about it because you already know how to support them. You don't get stressed out in the same way over people anymore because you know what you need to do to support them. You're able to have those tough conversations with people without the sickening feeling that a lot of us get in our stomachs before we go and give people feedback because because you know how to help people. You know how to move people forward. And what happens is more and more of your teachers get on board. They start growing. So your school runs more smoothly. Your students get served better. There's fewer disciplinary issues. There are fewer parent complaints because kids are getting served in the classroom. And that feels really good. When you get the pathway, when you start building that pathway skill, then the external benefits are your school is solving problems. You're just knocking them out the park. Every 90 days, you're just solving one of your biggest challenges goes away. Doesn't go lie dormant until next year. No, it goes away and you never have to deal with it again. Your school becomes more efficient as an organization and people start, seeing all of these wins and these victories happening. And so people really start to believe we can do this. They begin to feel more effective as an organization because they have had the experience of solving problems and you facilitated that. And so problems stop bothering you. You stop getting intimidated by it. You just say, okay, this is a problem. Is it one we need to solve? Okay. If it is, then we already have a process for solving it. If it isn't, then let's go find the real problem to solve and solve that. And this thing will go away. And then once you get good at execution, you become this well-oiled machine. Going to school and going to work feels good because as you're walking through the halls, you see stuff working. And the bumps that you used to experience for the changes that you face in your school don't bother you anymore because you already have a plan. You planned for those bumps and you have a solution. So as soon as the bumps show up, you're like, this is about where we're supposed to be. You're not intimidated by it. You just apply the solution that you plan for and move on with your life. So now your work is easier. You're going home earlier. Other people are taking on more ownership. They feel great because they have true ownership, true authority. It's not just this fake, let me give you some teacher leadership opportunities that you still control and are still responsible for, but true ownership, true opportunities to build. You're building other builders. And so you can step away and still realize the work's going to get done. It's not depending on you anymore because you've built an organization and a system where the work gets done even when you're not looking, even when you're not driving, even when you're not checking. So that's how you become a builder. And it's one of the reasons why we've built Buildership University, because we have realized that when you do things in a particular order, you get more wins, you get where you want to go faster, and you're solving the right problems in the right order, right? Because the first problem you have is nobody knows what you're doing. You've got cross purposes. You're not in alignment. Your school's not in alignment. Once you get that straight, then the next problem you're going to face is, all right, everybody knows where you need to go, but how are we going to get there? So how do you build the will and skill of your people? And then once you realize that, the next problem you're going to face is, all right, we're building will and skill, but we've got still a lot of problems. Which one should we solve? And when you realize how to find the right problems to solve and focus on the right pathway, the next problem you have is, okay, how do we stick with this until we see results? So it follows, that buildership model follows the natural progression of what it means to be a builder. I'll say this last thing. A lot of people read the book or go to one of our trainings and then they say, I want to be a builder, and they cherry pick. This is the problem I'm facing right now, so I'll start here. And I want to warn you against that, because when you cherry pick those skills, you'll see an initial bump, but it's not sustainable. And then you say, this buildership thing isn't working. Buildership is not a thing. It's a who. It's who you become. It's not a set of programs that you apply to your school to get your school where it needs to be. When you become a builder, it means that you can go into any school and turn it into a success story. Not the school you have right now. Like if you just look at buildership and say, well, I'm going to do this for the school I have right now. Well, why are you spending all this time and energy on building a skill that you're going to have to relearn in the next school? But when you become a builder, if you go through the process, it doesn't matter the school. You could be in your school right now, today. You can be in another school next week or 2 years from now. You can move to the district level, and the same skills that you learned now will apply. So if you stop thinking about buildership as a what and start thinking about it as a who. Who do I become? Then it changes your perspective and it keeps you from cherry picking and rushing the process. And because Buildership is a who, it really takes about 3 years to fully become a builder. The whole first year, you're just learning all of the skills. You're going through and learning how you're creating your vision. You're building the architectures that you need to put in place to get your people on board, to make sure you stick on your path, you find the right pathway and stick to that with your plan. It takes a year. You can go through it. You need to go through the entire cycle before you really have gotten all those skills. And then year 2, you can go through it again and apply the skills, execute on the skills so that you can get good at them. Think about your first year of teaching. You go through your first year of teaching and you learned a lot, but then the second year is when you say, okay, now I want to do things differently. I need to, I'm going to get better at it. So you need that second year to just execute the skills so that you can make them work for who you are and really understand the nuances around those skills so that you can get good at it. And then the third year, you need to extend the skills. This is where you do the refinement piece. And this is when you become a master builder. And so for those of you who are just starting the journey or you're not sure where to start, I'm hoping today helps you so that you really see the pathway forward. This is why we build Buildership University the way that we build it, is so that we can walk you through that pathway and help you develop the skills, the right skills in the right order. And that's why we always say that Buildership University is a 1-year commitment because you need a whole year to learn the skills. But it's really a 3-year journey. And so the first year, we're just helping you build the skills. The second year, we're helping you execute on those skills. And so there's a whole process. It's a different process, but it's a process to help you execute and get really good at it and to monitor that and to look at areas where you need to refine and revisit. And then that third year is about tweaking it. And it's also about what's going to be the next chapter in your journey. And so you get a lot more personalized mentorship so that you can think about, do I want to write a book? Do I want to start a consulting business? Do I want to stay where I am? Do I want to pursue a job in central office or maybe become a superintendent? We help you figure that out because now that you have become a builder, you can take Buildership and go anywhere. So hopefully this is helpful for you today. Just, a more nuts and bolts episode to help you understand the order of Buildership and why it's created the way that the Buildership model is created so that you can see the progression and the progress through the program and you understand why it's set up that way. And that way you can know exactly where to get started and exactly what order you need to follow so that you can become a builder. Because the last thing I want is for you to pick and choose and try a couple of things, get frustrated because, you're doing things out of order and you're not making the progress you need to make. So hopefully this is helpful. And if you are not a member of Buildership University and you're trying to do this on your own, you can, I put the whole model in the book, Stop Leading, Start Building. So it's all there. But if you want the support, the mentorship, the tools that you need to be able to do this and to do it in the right order and to get support every step of the way, get that personalized feedback so that as you're building these skills, somebody's there giving you the feedback you need to get better and better at it before you get in front of your staff, then I want to invite you to join me in Buildership University. Now, we just closed our last cohort, but we do have a wait list. And I can tell you from experience that as people are graduating out of the program, we have spots opening up. And we then go to the wait list for anybody who's on the wait list to get those open spots to you. So if you want to get an open spot and get in now, Buildership University, the tuition is going up significantly in January. So if you want to get in now, before tuition goes up, the best bet is to join the wait list. And once we, get a spot, we go to the wait list and then we go down the list and we say, do you want this spot? Do you want this spot? And then we just go. Those spots usually go very quickly. So be on the wait list, get ready in case we reach out to you and join us inside of Buildership University. All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hey, if you're ready to get started being a builder right away, then I want to invite you to join us at Buildership University. It's our exclusive online community for builders just like you, where you'll be able to get the exact training that you need to turn your school into a success story right now with the people and resources you already have. Inside, you'll find our best online courses, live trainings with me, tons of resources, templates, and exemplars, and monthly live office hours with me where you can ask me anything and get my help on whatever challenge you're facing right now. If you're tired of hitting obstacle after obstacle and you're sick of tiny little incremental gains each year, if you're ready to make a dramatic difference in your school right now, then you need to join Buildership University. Just go to buildershipuniversity.com and get started writing your school success story today. Hey, real quick before you go, if you enjoyed today's episode and you know someone who would really benefit from what you heard here today, maybe they're struggling with the thing that we talked about in today's episode, would you take a moment and share this episode with them? You see, not only will it help us get the word about Buildership out to more people, but you're going to look like a rock star because you're going to give people something they can really use to help them get unstuck and be better at building their schools. Plus, it would mean the world to me. Thanks so much, and I'll see you next time.